Minister was at the opening last week of the Paul Bogle Highway in St. Thomas, that beautiful piece of road now taking us into St. Thomas. And he gave the keynote speech. Yeah? Here is that speech from the Prime Minister.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Today, we gather to join Jamaica's history to Jamaica's future by designing and designating this son of the Southern Coastal Highway as we honor one of the greatest sons of St. Thomas and reaffirm that national development must always be rooted in our history. The name of the Right Excellent Paul Bogle carries profound meaning for the Jamaican people. It speaks of courage in the face of injustice, leadership in the service to the poor, and a willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice for human dignity. Paul Bogle saw the hardship experienced by the people of St. Thomas. He understood their exclusion from political power, their limited access to justice, and the weight of poverty upon their lives. He did not turn away. He organized, he petitioned, he led, and he stood for his people. The events of 1865 forced the colonial authorities to confront conditions they had ignored for far too long. Paul Bogle's leadership brought national attention to the urgent need for reform and helped to change the course of history in Jamaica. As Prime Minister, I'm a student of Paul Bogle. I study it as if I had an exam to sit. 1865 is a critical turning point in the history of Jamaica. There is a reason why St. Thomas was called the Forgotten Parish. So I say, whether you are JLP in orientation or PNP in orientation, we all believe in one thing, that our country must develop. And it is not development for some and nothing for others. This road passes all the communities, whether they are JLP or PNP. Everybody must benefit from the road. And as we stand here to honor our national hero, it is not the Jamaica Labour Party honoring Paul Bogle. It's not the PNP honoring Paul Bogle. It is the people of Jamaica as one. As one. Because the struggle is common. That's what your political opinion is. The struggle is common. We are still struggling to provide water to every household here in St. Thomas. We are still struggling to bring proper roads to every community here. We are still struggling to improve the quality of education for all the children here. We are still struggling with the quality of your health. Still struggling, but we never give up the fight. Like Paul Bogle, we keep the fight. We keep the fight. Because, you know, how we as a people organize to manage our development is important. You know what else happened in 1865? In 1865, the American Revolution came to an end, the Civil War. Slavery was abolished in the US. I believe that same year, President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So you look at the American Civil War, the end of it, and where their economy and their country has moved, and you look at our country with our conflict and our struggle and where we are. We have to say we could have achieved much more than we have, though we have achieved quite a bit. What we must commit to doing now is to be more efficient and more productive as a people. We must make the right decisions about the use of our resources. That's what we must commit to doing. And I always believe that the right decision in the use of resources is to build infrastructure. If it is one thing that you can say about the American society or any society that is developed, coming out of conflict, they invested in infrastructure. Coming out of our conflict in 1865, there were some changes made as to how Jamaica managed its development. Before 1865, Jamaica was a self-governing colony. It had its own parliament, its own legislature. Because of the rebellion, and it did create quite a stir in the colonial power in the United Kingdom, they decided that they would vote to end their own legislative authority. And Jamaica became a crown colony, a colony managed directly by the United Kingdom. So we essentially, as a country, though most of the population was a part of the power of the country, decided that our affairs must be administered elsewhere. It was not until 1944 that we reclaimed most of our constitutional self-government, and then finally in 1962 to become independent. Out of 1865, we changed the way in which we administered the country. We had over 20 plus parishes, my recollection. After that, we redistrict the country into 14 parishes. That's how we have 14 parishes today. And as I speak on that, the country has grown since 161 years ago, and it needs redistricting in how the local government is managed. Out of 1865 came a professional constabulary force, the JCF. The JCF that you have now is as a result of what happened in 1865. The court system was improved. As a result of that, the colonial government also decided to spend on infrastructure in the country. And between 1865, well into the 1950s, most of what we call the infrastructure today, that is when it was built. For example, the Flat Bridge, the Hermitage Dam, the canal that runs along the Rio Cobre and watering the plains of St. Catherine, the Spanish Town Hospital, the University Hospital, all of those were built out under the colonial era. If we claim to be an independent people, we must build our own infrastructure, and we mustn't be afraid to build our own infrastructure. We must build, and that is what this administration has been doing for the past 10 years. Building infrastructure. Infrastructure makes life better. It gives greater convenience. It creates more opportunities. But more than that, it creates, if it is well built, greater resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from shocks. This road that we celebrate here and we name in honor of our national hero will improve the lives of the people of this parish. You know, everybody who takes the bus to work and gets there 30 minutes earlier experiences a saving of resources, whether it is petrol, time, convenience, increased productivity. Everybody who decides to travel on this road and stop at Roselle or all the other little stops that I'm seeing, all the shops get more custom. But the development is going to be even more, because now St. Thomas is a place where people are making a conscious decision. You know what? The piece of land that I have there, some people might say, you know what? Let me sell it so somebody can develop the land, or some might say, I'll keep it and develop the land. But as I stand here, I know of more than 5,000 houses, much more than that, that are in the pipeline along the roadway. I know of plans to build a new port for St. Thomas. And I tell you, I speak as if it is outside of the actions of the government. The government is planning to build a port in St. Thomas, and it's not just a plan, we are well advanced in doing that. It will be an aggregate port, but it will also be for cruise shipping because we are going to bring tourism to this corridor in a significant way. We are well advanced with a plan to put a museum, yes, a museum in Morant Bay to properly document and house the artifacts and to tell the story of Jamaica. So that every child can jump on one of the lovely school buses that we have put in place, make it a prescribed trip for them to come to the Morant Bay Museum to see how the Jamaican struggle started and where we are in that journey. We have plans for other major developments in this area, including the creation of what is called an eco drive. What people speak of mostly when they drive on the road is not how smooth it is and the quality of the road. They are stunned by the beauty they see, the lovely vistas of the road next to the beautiful Caribbean Sea. And as you drive through, you see pictures of an unspoilt Jamaica, peaceful, rural and rustic. There is great value in that. And so we're going to develop that route with proper streetscaping, trees, proper stops for public sanitation, proper stops for vendors, develop beaches along the way. People can just jump in their car, drive along, pull off the road safely with proper amenities and parking and enjoy the beauty of their country. Tourists can come and do the same. And so we are going to develop this eco corridor, and it will cross from St. Thomas through Portland. We notice that as we have this lovely road, there are persons who are constructing. They are putting up fences and they are doing all kinds of things. I ask you to consider carefully what you put up alongside the road. Don't make it look chaka-chaka and ugly. Start to think about how you dispose of your garbage, your waste, your refuse. Don't just throw it on the road so it ends up on the verges. Start to take some pride in your community. You might live in a hovel, but it doesn't have to be a dump. Help us with the improvement of the streetscape. So you will hear more about the Eco Drive project. So it can't be said anymore that St. Thomas paid the price for the Morant Bay Rebellion. Today we repay St. Thomas. Today history comes full circle as we name this road in honor of our national hero, Paul Bogle. The road is 31.5 kilometers starting from the Bull River Bridge to the roundabout where we are at Morant Bay. This is the section that we will name the Paul Bogle Highway. We are now contemplating the remaining section to the border of Portland as to how we should name it. Clearly, George William Gordon would have some claim on that road. But like everything else we do, we consult. We have to talk to the people. So we'll talk and we'll consult and we will hear what's your opinion on naming the road. You know, Minister Montague, I hear him whisper under his voice, tacky. I don't know. But RLG Newland. But options are there. And we will consult with you, the people, to help guide us as to how we designate and name the road. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that the minister without responsibility in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development has asked me to announce that the Jamaica Road Register, that will go live at 1 p.m. today, and that is jamaicaroadregister.gov.jm. And the roads in Kingston and in St. Catherine will be listed there. So you can go on that website and see the status of your road, which would be your road, when it is scheduled to be repaired, which program it is on. And it will be interactive. You will be able to upload information from your community about the road, so that gives us feedback so we begin to understand. This is part of a larger mission to take control of our roads and to make our roads a place of pride and dignity that are indeed roads to development. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a great pleasure to address you. I hope that you have received some understanding as to why we are doing this and your part in this long journey of development. God bless you and thank you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
All right, it's now going up to 10 minutes to